Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Highrise City, and welcome back to New Belfast. Things are going pretty darn well at the moment. We are just shy of $3.5 million, which is fantastic news. Our population, 22,700, not bad, could be better. But here's what I'd like to do, and here's where I'd like to get started today. We have $3.5 million. We should probably spend it on some land because we are going to need more farms. Now, something I'd been considering was the idea of grabbing one of these two tiles because we could build a bridge, we could move all of our farms over there. And then I got thinking that this probably isn't enough land. And this tile right here has a big old hill on it, which would make things slightly tricky. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab this tile right here. It's $1.6 million, which is a ridiculous amount of money, but we're going to grab it because what I can do is kind of just continue with what I've been doing. So I can go in here, I can grab myself just a regular 2-lane road, and I can go essentially 2 blocks that way, 1 block that way, and down. I can do the same thing here, a block across and 2 down. I can go 1 over and 2 down, and then 1 over and 2 down again. In this case, I can go 2 over and 2 down just to give us this big old space to play with. And if I really wanted to, I could also go in here and let's see, can I measure this out in a way that's going to be sort of satisfying to work with? I'm kind of hoping that I totally can. I would like to go down to the edge of this building, but I think it's just going to snap to it, unfortunately. So what I think we'll do instead, because I was going to try and just get a road that goes along the backs of these guys really neatly, but I think we'll just try and do it. I don't know. How do I want to figure this out? I guess we just do this, right? So just go from, you know, that corner to the road and then just bring this guy straight across over there. And that gives us space for a whole bunch of farms. And the reason I want a whole bunch of new farms is because I want to make sure that our vegetable production, which is 59 with a consumption of 43, continues to thrive. I want to make sure that the fruit production continues to thrive as well. So 47, 43 right there. And I want to make sure that things like wheat continue to be in a good place. I would like to start with some hops production as well, so we can start making beer for the level 3 houses. I think that would be important. We are doing just fine with wool. And then we are, by the looks of it, getting a little bit low on some corn. So basically going through and getting a whole bunch of new farms is going to be a relatively good thing. This haulage company is in a good spot to collect from all of these guys as well. So what I'm going to do is go in here and I'm going to start with, we don't need a sheep farm. We are going to want to get ourselves, well, how are we doing on wheat? Production 23, consumption 20. You know what? I want another wheat farm and I can absolutely afford it given just how many things we have. Production in here will be 12 for the wheat. I don't think we need it to be 12. So what I'm going to do is just put it right there and that will give us a whole bunch more wheat, which is a great start. Beer we'll get to. Spirits, we'll do a corn farm right about there. That seems like a fair shout. We will do a vegetable farm right about there, and we'll do a fruit farm right about there. And I think I'm going to save this space for hops. I think that's a fair shout. I think getting some hops into this space would be the way to go. Now, if we look at the numbers, 71.43 on vegetables, 59.43 on fruit. And then for other things like wheat, it is 32.20, which is absolutely fantastic. And then for corn, it is 36.25. So what I'm going to do to make this even more worthwhile is I'm going to get myself a large warehouse. We have this space up here that we're not using for much because we have these pair of clay pits. So if I get another warehouse extension, that gives me so much more storage space for all these different things, which is good. That's what we're looking for. So we'll speed the game up a little bit just so that warehouse comes together nice and quickly. And in doing that, we should see, and we do see, all of these guys can be filled up that little bit more, which is exactly what we're looking for. We also have a bunch of research stuff to collect right now. So I'm going to collect all of these and see what exactly it is we can do in terms of research to speed things up a little bit. What is this? Delivery of $100 million for 100 research? If I click delivery, did I just spend $100 million? I did just spend, not 100 million, but I just spent $1 million. Okay, sure. You know what? I'll take it. That's fair enough. I have 345 research points. That's great. I also have this, which is a transport goods job to improve the textiles factory. I'm pretty sure I know what this is. Yeah, this is a job where I have to drive a truck. Oh man, this is kind of cool. I don't know where we're going. So we're transporting hazardous waste and we have 15 checkpoints to go through. I have 5 minutes to do this. What's the distance that I'm going with this? That's a pretty substantial amount of time for what's not really a huge city. Oh, it's even got me going up and over the bridge. This is actually kind of cool. It's also great that I don't actually collide with the rest of the traffic. I can just go straight through it, which is completely fine by me. It kind of gives me a feeling that by the looks of it, we're going to be crossing the city. This is also just a really cool way to see the city. Oh God, we're fine. Oh, traffic's pretty bad around here though. I might want to do something about that. Oh wow, traffic's actually terrible. Traffic is so bad around here. We really got to do something with that. I also, oh, it's fine leaving the road. We're all right. We can take a little bit of a shortcut there. And it turns out I was kind of right. We've basically just crossed the entire city for this delivery, but that's job done, which means I've got a new building. I can improve my textile factories, which is great news. So I can come down here. I can go to these guys and improve them, which gives me a plus 25% bonus on all of them. It is relatively trivial to upgrade them as well. So we'll get that done to all 3 of them, which means we have a bunch of level 2 textile factories, which is absolutely fantastic news. So let's take a bit of a look at some of my buildings over here. I want to look at these guys and see what they need. So they need beer. They need toys. They will need electric bicycles. I think beer is going to be the easiest one to sort out. They also need a proper shopping mall as well, which if I have a look at it, it is, I mean, it just needs consumer goods, which is relatively easy to get my hands on. I mean, that's what we're providing to the supermarket already. Oh, wow, this thing is chunky. Okay. I wasn't expecting the mall to be quite this size. It makes sense that it's this size. I just wasn't expecting it to be this size. I suppose we should put it somewhere like here so that it covers that entire space. I think that's fair enough. I want to see what this thing looks like. I want to see how it turns out and what, you know, impact it has on everything around here. So I think that's a fair shout. I think getting that thing in there is a good way to go. A little bit expensive to build, $40,000, but honestly, that's fine. Let's take a look at beer production and see what exactly it needs. So it's going to need both wheat and hops to make beer. It actually needs quite a bit of wheat. So it's probably a good thing that we got things improved the way we did. Let's get a hops farm in here. I'm going to need way more bricks to build this. So we're going to be waiting a little while for that to come through. But we do have these clay pits. Let me have a look and see how clay is doing right now. So production 12, consumption 9. How many? Oh, that's a good question. How many places do I have? I have 3 brickworks. I want to say I could build a 4th, because if 3 of them have a production of 9, that would tell me that another one would be a good idea. So let's build a little brickworks. I'm going to say here. And that should mean that my bricks production is now 12. My clay production is now 12. So that's reached a nice little happy medium right there. So that should work out. That should mean that bricks come through that little bit quicker, which in turn means I can get myself a hops farm right about here. So now if we take a bit of a look, our hops production is 14, which is fantastic. Our wheat production is 32 with consumption at 20, which is all right. It's going to be the brewery that's going to be the real test for this. We will probably need to grow more wheat, but if I get myself a decent brewery somewhere, which I wonder if I could fit it in here, that'd be an interesting spot for it. we can start making beer and we can start satisfying the needs of these guys right in here. We also have the shopping mall, which is, I guess, doing its thing. It is getting some consumer goods, which is fine. We have a massive demand for offices and a pretty substantial demand across the board in quite a few places for workers, which we can deal with. But looking at you, you are a little bit happier with the nearby services, which is great. Policing could definitely be better. We might want to get another little police department in here, given that, I mean, this one's range kind of, I guess the range on this one just kind of sucks. Maybe we just get another one. I don't love the idea of getting another one, but I can afford it. So I guess it doesn't hurt, right? We'll do a little police department here, and we'll do an extra little bit of fire coverage right on this corner as well, just to make sure that everybody's happy with their coverage across the board, right? So your security should be higher, or should get higher, which is great. And then your fire coverage should get maxed out as well. Your services, the shopping service is getting higher. Religion's okay. Education's okay. So we're doing okay. I think the beer, weirdly, is going to be a solution to a lot of the problems that they're having. So let's head back over. Let's have a look and see what was it we needed for that brewery. It was 32 bricks. We have those. This thing actually amazingly sort of does fit in here, which I really like, but I'm kind of wondering, I feel like it would make sense to just build it down here. I want to say down here is kind of the best spot for it. So we'll build it right there, and let me take a look at my resources. So consumption on wheat is now 40. So 100% we are going to need another wheat farm. Hops production is 14, consumption is 5. This thing consumes so much. That is kind of wild. Okay, so the good news is we have all this space to play with. So I think what I'll do is build myself another 2 blocks by 2 blocks and 2 blocks. I think this is going to be a wheat farm, just so we get a really solid size out of this thing and hopefully a really good harvest. So wheat farm right here. It is, of course, it needs 135 bricks. Oh, that's a lot. That is a lot. But hopefully the production from that, the production is going to be 17. Now, looking at my wheat situation, 17 is going to be more than enough. So as soon as we get those bricks, we'll build the wheat farm, and then we need to bring the population up. And we also need to bring up the number of offices. That's a complaint that we have across the board as well. Okay, so with this wheat farm in here, we need to start dealing with the complaints that we have. We need more offices and we need more workers. In fact, workers, that's the bigger complaint that we have. So I'm going to come down here and start looking at filling out more of this space with engineers, because that's going to get me a little bit more money. So we'll fill out that space right there. We'll let it build and we'll see what exactly that looks like. Now, these engineers are not thrilled. 59% isn't great. They would like beer, which has been a bit of a struggle thus far. I think toys will be relatively easy to figure out, and I think the rest of these services will be relatively easy to do as well, which is totally fine. I would just really hope that, I mean, that we did just bring a bunch of people in. Residential demand is climbing again. Do we still have the worker complaints everywhere? We actually do over here have those same worker complaints. Now, what that makes me wonder is whether or not people like engineers want to work in the farms. That's something I do not know. Employees might be something that we want to expand into a little bit further. So I'll build some employees right in there and see if that maybe helps with some of the job availability in a bunch of these warehouses as well. I don't think putting engineers down here would have been the right call anyway. So hopefully, and it does look like that's starting to fill in some of the available jobs, not all of them. We still have, 124 more workers are needed right there. We have need for 11 more workers right there, 37 more workers right there, but we're getting there, which is great. We're now dealing with the demand for more offices. So let's see if I can start filling out more of this space right here. We'll fill that out and get a couple more buildings in there. They won't be huge, but it'll be a little something something, which I can absolutely work with. And did that bring the demand down? No, demand for both is just continuing to climb, which makes sense. It makes sense that it would be doing that. We're doing okay with bricks. Can I start filling out the rest of this space? Can I fill that out and fill that out? There we go. So that entire block now is essentially full, which I'm okay with. That works for me. It would be good to start getting these guys, number one, some parking, and number two, a canteen. That's something we've been seriously forgetting to do for a while. So let's, at the very least, get a little parking lot right here. And we'll do one on this side as well, just to sort of double up on the parking availability right in that space. And that has dealt with some of that demand. These guys are a little bit less happy about it, but I'm not too concerned about that. That should help us out. And then the residential demand has just shot up again, which is kind of wild. that is a lot. Also, I want to look at these numbers here. Displays the number of unemployed people within a 3,000 meter radius of the player camera. Left click will change to the absolute level of unemployment, which is 160 of the guys at level 3, the engineers. 156 of those are unemployed. Okay. I mean, it's fluctuating, which is good, right? They're slowly finding work. It seems like the lack of workers is still kind of a thing, though. A lot of these farms still complaining about it. I really don't know if employees will go work in farms. I genuinely have no idea. But I'll tell you what I want to do. I want to fill this this tile right here with the engineers, and I think I want to say this little space down here might be a good place to start filling out with some more employees, or maybe this one. I don't know. This one was the one with like the weird zoning, so I think this one's the better bet to fill out. So we'll make this a little bit bigger. In fact, we'll just use this and maybe just wait until we have enough bricks to fill up the entire tile. That might be the better call. So we can just build, you know, giant buildings all at once. So coming out here and looking at these farms, this farm needs 612 more workers, which is a lot. We also have 500 unemployed, whatever it is, engineers. So I think it's fair to say that filling up this tile, number one, gives us some pretty substantial density in terms of the number of engineers, which is good. I'm okay with that. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I just don't think they're necessarily the workers that we're looking for. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build out sort of a new space. I'm going to go and do a road right about here. I want to try and get it relatively central, which I think that roughly is. I think I'm okay with that. Yeah, I think I might also do it roughly here so I can kind of have some fun with this. So I'm going to build a road right about there. And what I'd like to do is start just laying out a bit of a new kind of grid thing here. I'm also kind of wondering if I can maybe get this to look a certain way. If I was to do that, does that look all right? It doesn't look too bad. I kind of like the way it goes down sort of around the coast there. Obviously this is a map based on New York, so this kind of layout kind of makes sense. For this side, let's do a little bit of a shorter curve. I think is going to be the way to go on this one. We'll bring this road over to say there, bring this down to about there, and we'll just try and curve this around in a way that kind of makes sense, which I think is roughly that right there. So that's not so bad. What I'd like to then do is continue this road straight up to about there. I want to try and keep the grid as neat as I possibly can. Get rid of this guy because I don't think we need it. I'm going to get rid of this guy as well because, again, I don't really think I need it. And I'm going to just try and connect these guys together in some way, somehow. Can I, by any chance, just run this straight in there? I absolutely can. And then demolish that part because we don't need it anymore. And then this guy over on this side, I want to run a nice straight line all the way up to about here. We're going to bring this out. We're going to bring you up, and apparently that angle's not going to work. That's slightly surprising. That's also slightly disappointing. I was really hoping that would work. I don't necessarily agree with the idea that that angle is no good. I think that's a little bit silly. So I'm going to bring this out to about there and just try to curve this myself. Something kind of that way. And that gives us a decent space to start filling out with a bit of a grid. Again, kind of going for that New York vibe at some point where it is just going to be a bunch of grids. We could start playing with one-way roads as well, if I really wanted to, which I am by no means against doing. So let's figure out what those would look like, I guess. For one, I think we maybe want to do just another avenue straight across here. That actually connects down to that corner. If only that connected properly. That'd be really cool if it did. I think what we'll do instead then is bring this road out to meet that one. We'll bulldoze you, and that gives us a nice little extension there. We'll bring this road straight out to... Oh, I don't know what way to do this necessarily. I'm trying to keep these grids as neat as I can possibly keep them. And unfortunately, the game isn't necessarily going to let me do that. It's not going to be perfect, but I mean, it's going to be as good as it can be, I suppose. This can run straight across. That's going to be good. So that, I think, is going to just be a one-way road. Just because it can be, just because I think it should be. It doesn't seem to want to connect down there, though, which is very, very strange. I'm not 100% sure why it wouldn't want to connect down there. Okay, so this turned out a little bit better than I thought it was going to. It kind of looks neat, and I'm excited to build in there. But something I've also realized is that part of getting people out to their workplaces is going to involve having somewhat reasonable public transport. So what I'm going to do here is get myself a bus stop right about there. And I'm going to get myself some buses. Well, what way do I want to do this? I'm going to have some buses that kind of go, I want to say here, I want to say maybe here, and I would like a bus that goes there as well. And then this bus can go to this stop and cover that, which I think is fair enough. And then maybe come down and sort of loop around and do something or other in some of these spaces. Maybe this bus can actually go down this street and then maybe down into some of these neighborhoods or something. So we'll have it kind of go, I guess, there. It can come down to maybe here, maybe sort of close to that corner, maybe up this way as well. Will be a decent bit of coverage. And it can kind of come back this way and straight out that road, back out to these guys, back up to these farms. I don't know if this is necessarily a solid idea or not, but it's kind of what I'm going to go for. And then if we go to bus line, what I'd like to do is have it start up there, come down to that stop, and that stop. And then it comes all the way down. It goes to this guy, which is totally fine. It is going to, I suppose, come down here, right about here, and then down into this new space, looping around the outside of it right there, looping back to here, and then it stops on the other side as we're heading back out towards the farms. So it can stop there. For the hell of it, it can stop right in there as well. It is going to stop here, and then it goes back to that farm. So that should give us some pretty solid coverage for that line. I'm going to go for the medium bus on this one. Ridership is 35%, 56%. It is rapidly-ish increasing. We'll go for 2 buses just, again, for the hell of it. And then down this way, I want to start zoning some stuff. And I want to zone maybe some level 2 housing. Because something I noticed was that a lot of the workers, which, I mean, we still need 500 and something of them. But if we look at this, there's a mix. There's people living in apartment buildings. There's people living in houses. So I think it would be a fair idea. Having them live super far away isn't ideal, but I think we can get away with putting some apartments down here. So what I'll do is start by getting them some water, because I very nearly forgot to put water pipes underneath all of this. So we'll just run some pipes kind of out and around the outside of this entire thing, so that hopefully we have reasonable enough coverage to only need maybe one pipe up through the middle of this place, which is kind of what we need. Does that cover about everything? That does actually cover about everything, which is fantastic. We'll run one down here just for a little bit of redundancy. And that little bit missing in the middle is actually kind of really annoying me. So I'm going to put one there as well. I didn't need it, but it was ever so slightly annoying. In terms of power coverage, how are we looking? We are missing a little bit down at the tail end of the island. So I don't think we're going to build right down here just yet. Well, in saying that, we do need things like medical. So let's build... I suppose building a hospital right in the heart of this place is not a bad idea. So we'll build a hospital right on this corner. I want it to face that way. And then next to this guy, we're going to get ourselves a fire department, and we'll go for the medium one. So it's going to live... Can I turn this thing sideways? So it's oriented that way towards the road, but I wonder, can I do that and still have road access? Because if I can do that, then I can get the police department, which is sort of oriented that way as well. And then we have our services right here in the corner. And that just seems like a good idea. And it does seem like that kind of works. Do you have road access? You absolutely do. You don't have workers though, which is sort of to be expected. And visually, you also don't have road access, which I don't love, but you know what? That'll be totally fine. So that'll be the services for that space. They are also going to need some shopping. So we'll get them a supermarket, and it is going to live right on that corner. This is a one-way set of roads, by the way. This right here is a 4-lane one-way road heading towards all of this. I don't really know why we have this weird median right here. I don't love that, but it's fine. This should all be relatively accessible. And then are you covered by any haulers right now? No. Okay. Do I want to extend the range? In fact, I'm just going to change this out for a regional haulage company, and that gives it a bit more range by default, which is absolutely fantastic. And it gives more capacity per truck as well. So these guys are all covered by a hauler. They should be covered by garbage as well. And I think that's about everything, right? Well, no, they're going to need religion as well and some leisure. So I guess we'll go for a church, and we'll do, I want to say right there is fair enough for the church. And then for leisure, we'll get ourselves just a regular park. We'll go here, 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 and here. And that should be pretty good. That'll give them about everything they need. We are going to need more garden tools though. We are consumption 16, production 12. Yeah, hold on. Let's get one of these guys just before we get too carried away here. We'll go for right about there. And now garden tools are 16. You know, I would like another one just to be safe. And then this is production 70, consumption 75. Man, I just cannot get away from needing to chop down more trees. It's getting to be a problem is what it's getting to be, but it's fine. 78% right there, 100% right there. Let's do that, which means wood production is now 80, consumption 75. We don't have enough furniture production either. There's a lot of things we don't have enough of, and it's getting really, man, it's getting to be a thing. it's definitely getting to be a thing. Let's do, I can't connect that right there, really? Road too close. I don't understand how the road could be too close. It doesn't really make sense to me, but okay. Can I go that way with it? No. Can I maybe just do a simple 2-lane road here? No, that's not gonna let me do that either. Okay. Oh, so you don't have road access. I suppose I can't even connect it right there. Why can I not connect it right here? That's really strange, actually. Okay. Well, in that case, let's just get rid of this one park and we'll not worry about it. And that'll be all right. We're also missing bread, apparently. God, I'm starting to fall behind on things. I'm getting a little carried away with one thing and forgetting to maintain another. Yeah, bread consumption is 21, production is 20. Okay. We'll deal with that. It's not the end of the world. We will absolutely deal with that. I think what we're going to do, just to really start putting a dent in the need for workers, is we have a lot of bricks. We have a lot of construction materials. We could, just because I said I was going to, fill up one of these tiles. I would like to do that and get some decent buildings in there, but I think this one right here seems a bit more interesting, or these guys seem a bit more interesting. Or even down here. There's some really, really good spots that we could fill out with some of this. Oh, wow. We could really paint in a good looking block as well. That right there, for example, I think that's what we're going to do. I think that right there is going to be a block of houses, and we'll let that build. This right here is also going to be just an absolute block of houses. So let's see. Let's make this a little bit smaller. Let's paint all of this in and do that right there. And just see what this does for the population. Admittedly, we have no demand for residential zoning right now, so that might have been a waste of resources, but you know what? I'm okay with it. These guys are relatively happy. I forgot to give them an elementary school, and that's about the only thing that I think I forgot to give them. So, elementary school, we have the materials. We will build it. It'd be really nice if I could do a road here, but I guess I can't. We'll build it right here. That seems like a good spot for the elementary school, right on that corner. That should sort out everyone's demand for an elementary school, and hopefully this is going to start sorting out the demand for workers, right? How are you doing? We are still 543 of them. That's fair enough. That's, yeah, okay. I mean, we'll figure it out, is what we'll do. We will figure it out. We probably need more offices. Yeah, 312 offices. There's a lot of things we need right now that I'm really falling behind with. Oh, man. Very tempting to build Office Zone Complex 3 as well. I'm not going to lie. In fact, we did build this little chunk of just regular offices. Maybe we should. Where can I build Office Zone Complex 3? Maybe right here. We just build a little taste of what that would look like. Is that going to be one big building, or it's a series of buildings? Okay. What exactly do these guys need, and what do they want? This should also provide work for some of these guys that are horribly unemployed right now, so that's not a bad thing. You want parking, you want a canteen, and you want advanced training nearby. Okay. That's totally fine. Building those did bring down the number of unemployed engineers, which is great. We have a lot of unemployed employees, which isn't great. So I guess we would need more Office Zone Complex 2s to figure that out. Which I guess we could do here. Suppose it wouldn't hurt. Do a little something like that. Try and get some of these guys some jobs. I mean, building the offices down here would have made more sense, but you know what? It's totally fine. We'll build them up here. A way out of the way, apparently. So just before we wrap things up for today, I remembered that there is a law that we can enact, which feels a little bit cheaty, but it's this more relaxed road users law. It is various educational measures and information campaigns to encourage residents to be more relaxed when driving in traffic so they tolerate longer commutes, increase a resident's maximum driving distance or maximum distance traveled by 20%. If I enable this, yes, we're spending $34,000 to do it, but it should mean that people, again, are willing to travel further, which is good. This will also reduce traffic, which I think could be good. So I'm going to enable that as well. We're losing a little bit of money right now, but we have $3.3 million. So I'm really not too concerned about that. And my hope is that in doing that, we are going to find that people are maybe a little bit more willing to drive out here. Because I think that's part of the problem is these farms that need, 149 workers or 259 workers, they're kind of far away from the people that, would be working there. Which is, I think that's fair. I understand, it's a completely valid complaint that they have about having to go so far to get to work. Like, I I get why they would be a little bit annoyed about that and a bit reluctant to make that journey. But my hope is that we can kind of sort that out, and we're slowly seeing it become less of a problem as we bring more people in here, which is good. We're going to need to bring in considerably more people because, again, we're now spending something like $45,000 on laws that we weren't spending previously, but I'm sort of okay with that. I think if I can get people to travel further, then that might work out nicely for me in the long run. So I'm kind of going to just stick with the idea that that's kind of just how we're going to do things. I'd also like to see if I can fill in this particular tile right here. There we go. Let's get that one little spot in there filled up with a building. And honestly, I think this area is going to turn out kind of nicely once I start getting taller buildings in here. I did build a couple of the level 3 offices right here just because I figured, why not? It'd be kind of interesting to have a little bit of variation in here, but I like this. I think this will turn out nicely. Well, obviously, we have the services that people are going to be wanting, so they're going to be relatively happy in there. The biggest issues that we're going to be experiencing, though, is spirits. Production's 30, consumption is 29. I did build a new distillery. Consumption of clothing is 18, production's 15, so we do need more textiles. We're also having the similar thing with fish. Consumption is now 62, production is 64. We need more of those. Vegetables, production 71, consumption 58. We're fine. Fruit is 59, 58, so it's getting very close. Wheat is 52.50, which is getting very close. Flour is 30.25, getting very close. Bread production is 25, consumption is 30, so we need to improve that. Hops as a general thing, I mean, we're always, we need what, 5 hops and 20 wheat for beer. So I think realistically we could even look into exporting one of those. So right now we are, yeah, we're not going to have excess food. So let's look at beer for something we can export. Yeah, it's worth a lot. Let's maintain a level of like 200 beer and sell anything above the 200 beer. And that'll keep us in a really good way. I'd be curious to see what hops are worth. 330, you know what, do 200 of that as well. So as long as we keep that minimum, we can export the rest. And so that's basically going to make us a tremendous amount of money, which is good. That's how I think we're gonna be making our money with these relatively expensive policies now in place. It also looks like these guys have sort of stopped complaining about workers, which is great. 672 people working here. This bus route's capacity is 90% now, so we might want to look into, it's fluctuating a lot. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to swap it out for a larger bus, and we'll do one, you know what? We'll do 2 larger buses. We can afford it. We're doing all right at the moment. We can definitely afford it. And then I guess, let's see, how else are we doing? So, ready meals, we have none, that's fine. Garden tools, totally fine. Spirits will be okay. Corn is okay. Iron is totally fine. Iron ore is fine. Coal is fine. Brick production is now 15. Clay production is 16. Planks, we have plenty of those. We kind of need more insulation material. That's something I'm noticing. Clothing is something we'll have to fix in the next one because we're about to wrap things up, like I said. Looks like wool isn't so bad. I think we just have a lot of people now consuming clothing, so we'll deal with that when we deal with that. Kind of surprising that wheat is struggling a little bit. I'm curious though. This is a regional haulage thing. It might just be that there's so many things it has to go to that maybe it's just not that efficient. I mean, this is vehicle occupancy. Yeah, they're all active, essentially. So it could be that we need more hauling out here. In fact, maybe that's going to be the last thing we'll do today. Let me shrink this down a little bit to about there. So it's going to cover all of those farms. And then what I'm going to do is get myself another haulage company. So we got a regional hauler right about there. And let me just look at the overlap on these guys. So this new one is going to come down a little bit, and it's going to continue to come down to about there. I think that's as small as I can go. So now we have 2 haulers out here. Everything is getting covered, just about. And that should keep us good. That should mean that we are able to deal with all of the stuff out here that we have to deal with. And hopefully that means that we'll see this wheat actually get into storage that little bit quicker, which is and would be ideal. I'm kind of thinking down here we might want to do a similar thing. I mean, you are covered by a hauler for sure. It's just that there's so many buildings down here that it really might not be a bad idea to get another haulage company and maybe just, I don't know, put it up in here. Could be the location for it, or down here could also be the location for it. I think that's what we'll do. We'll put it right about there. We will shrink it down just a little bit, and we'll have it cover a slightly larger area than this one. We also have this guy as well, which is a pretty big area. I mean, regardless, more trucks moving more things seems like a good idea. We're up above almost $4.2 million. We're doing something right. So I'm relatively content that a couple more haulers, I mean, it's not going to hurt, right? That's what I'm looking at here. It's probably most likely not going to hurt New Belfast to just have more trucks. So with that all said and done, with that all out of the way, let's leave it there for today. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. It has been an absolute pleasure as always. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.